Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for coming in tonight. I am on location at my parents' house, and we are going to continue on the Hourglass block quilt that I'm working on with the sparkly, super sparkly, shiny fabric. I'm excited to be playing around with that tonight. Thanks for coming in, guys. Tonight we will be trimming out all the blocks. They are a little uneven and bigger than I need them to be. I'm going to trim them to 4.5 inches tonight. They're almost 5 inches, 4 3/4 on some of them. So we are going to trim them so they're all equal at 4.5 inches. When they're sewn in the quilt, they will end up being 4 inches, and I think that'll be a good size to play with our cute little hourglasses. So that's what we'll be doing tonight. I have two tools that are going to make this go super easy, more easy than than usual for me tonight, and I'm excited to use those. So we'll get on with it. Thanks for coming in, guys. If you're new, my name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery patterns and kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 9:30 p.m. Central. And again, we are working through this new fun project, a quick quilt project. We are making hourglass blocks, and we will somehow assemble it into a quilt. I'm not quite sure what the plan is for that yet, but we will try that out. We will figure that out on Monday or Tuesday. So tonight, again, we are trimming all of the blocks down, and I am on location at my parents'. Unfortunately, I don't hear any of the frogs yet. I think it's still a little early in the season, but I don't know. Maybe they'll come up later tonight yet. But hello, thanks for coming in, everyone. I'm going to flip you around and let's get started. Let me share this with the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. Just so you know, if you're new here tonight, I am going to give away this quilt when I'm finished. So there is a sign up to win the quilt in this Facebook, or if you're on YouTube, it'll be in YouTube too. The post, the description of the video, it will be in there, the link to win the block, or the quilt, the whole quilt when we're done with this project. And it'll be announced in our Penguin and Fish Crafters group. So to join that group, just in Facebook, do a search for Penguin and Fish. Penguin and Fish Crafters will come up. Click join on there, and then you'll be able to see who wins the quilt. And there in that group, feel free to share these hourglass blocks if you're working on them, or really any other project that you're working on. I always love seeing what you guys are doing. So I'm going to share this quick to that group. So if you wanted to, well, I'm doing that quick now. If you wanted to sign up to win the quilt or join the group, feel free. It'll just be 1 second here. Let me refresh the page. Thanks again for coming in. I'm bummed that I can't hear the frogs today. Oh yes, Longaberger baskets. That's what they are. My mom has some of her fabric stashes are hiding in there. All right, share, and almost ready, guys. Oops, hold on. Share in a group. Oops, that's print. Penguin and Fish Crafters. Okay, guys, I am posting, and great. We are ready to keep at it. So thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to flip you around, and let's start trimming. We are just going to have a night of trimming. Okay, here we are. Let's see if we can get it all so I don't have tons of reflection here. Hopefully it's okay. So I brought a few things from home that I think are going to help a ton tonight. So I recently got this rotating mat. I purchased I think this is called the 8-inch, even though it's only measures 7 inches, but I think it's called the 8-inch. It's by Fiskars. I will put this in the description when I'm done, but you know, it comes apart. It just is rotating on this little disc. This holds firmly to the ground. It's kind of rubber on one side, and then it just rotates. And why I personally like the smaller size is that I can work in a really small space like this, which is, you know, what most of my sewing spaces look like. So, all right, and the other tool that I think is going to make this easy for me tonight is that I have a 4.5-inch ruler. This came in a set. It's by OmniGrid. It came in a set of, I bought it for the Splendid Sampler because it came in a set of a 6.5-inch, which was the size of the Splendid Sampler blocks, and it came with a 4.5 and a 2.5-inch. So since we are making ours 4.5 inches, this is going to be great because I can put it on here. I can cut, rotate, cut, and not move anything. I think it'll be, I can even sit. Usually I stand when I cut, but I think this is going to be easy enough to do right here. There's no weird reaching around. So the rotating mag and this 4.5-inch guy, I think are really going to do well for me tonight. So, all right. I am trimming these all to 4.5 inches. We could probably have done 4.25, but some are a little bit smaller. And 4.5 is a nice size because if I need to cut more squares, I don't know, I just think that's better than like 4 7/8 or something like that. I'm just going to stick for easiness sake with the 4.5 size. So the trick here is I need to really kind of center it based on this point here. So my ruler has this diagonal, so I can line this up with the diagonal. But unlike when you're only using half square triangles, I can't just go right up to the edge here and then cut my other edge because these triangles will be smaller than these triangles. I need to really start from here and go outward equidistant, right? So since I'm going to do 4.5 inches, I need that center point to be at the 2.25 mark. So what I'm going to do, just to make it a whole lot easier, is I have a little tab here, like one of those sticky note things. I'm going to just tear it in half. Yeah, definitely, I don't do eighths. I know, the easier you can make the measurements, the better. And, you know, if we do add borders or other little blocks to go in between later, it's going to be so much easier with a nice simple size like the 4.5 inches. So I'm going to just measure the 2.5 inches until I reach this diagonal, and with this straight edge I'm just going to put that right there. I think I might even rip that off there, and I'm going to also go the other direction on the straight edge, so 2.25 there, right there. So there, now all I have to do is, like, I'll just use this as a guide. All I have to do is go right to that point. So this is my center, right there is my center point on my 4.5 inch. So why that's going to be easy for me now is now all I have to do is put it right at that center point and then line up this diagonal. So I'm going to put that at the center, just like that. Line up this diagonal, and I'm going to just double check the other diagonal. It should be at these corner points, and so this looks like it's pretty good to go. This best is what it's going to be, and then we can cut. So I'm going to put some pressure on there. I got my rotary cutter. I'm going to kind of start in a little bit and go backwards, just so I don't nick the edge of my ruler there. And then all the way over, shush that out the side. And the nice thing is I can just keep rotating that, keep my pressure on there, back and forward, rotate. Oh, this is going to be nice. It's so simple not to have to get up and rotate my body. I can just rotate the mat. This is, once we get into this groove, this is going to go really quick, I think. But there we go. A nice 4.5 inch block that, you know, in theory is pretty equidistant all the way around. Oh, it's so shiny. I'm always amazed how at every step it looks more and more finished. Like, without these little dog ears and like, you know, uneven edges and stuff. Once we cut all those off, it just looks so clean and pretty. So, all right, I need a new stack of that. Here's my stack this is what we're going to be doing tonight. I think there's 48 total. I guess we'll just put it right next to us, right there. How about that? I do need a little bit of leeway, you know, otherwise it's going to hit. But all right, let's just keep going down the line here. I don't have to pay attention to really any of the measurements on my board. All I'm really paying attention to is that center, that 2 1/4 inch right at the center point. It's actually a little difficult for me to see. I think right like that. And then get my diagonals going. You know, maybe I can see better this way. There, that's better. Now I have kind of the clear space for me to see where that center meets a little bit. All right, diagonal. This diagonal looks pretty decent. Rotate it a little. All right, good. Let's cut. Oh, thanks, Marion. I'm excited. I'm liking these colors together more and more. I feel they're like kind of regal feeling, but I think it's all because of this crazy fabric right here. It kind of regals the whole thing up, I guess. So I'm always kind of keeping pressure on my ruler because I don't want it to shift. I mean, it wouldn't be that, if it shifts, it won't be that hard to get back. And just a safety note, I always close my safety on the rotary cutter whenever I'm done with any cut. I don't want to be, you know, shimmying this off with this open. I mean, this could like slice through your hand. So I'm always really careful to close my, I mean, it's a habit. I have to make it a habit to close the safety on there right away. Ugh, so cute. I love this green. All right, let's get cruising now that we got a system down here. Oh, all these blues. It's always fun to see the combos. So I'm matching my center dot first and lining up the diagonals. If you don't have a diagonal line on yours, if you have a 4 1/2 inch thing like this, you can just line up the diagonal points. And also, you know, if you don't have a 4 1/2 inch thing, you can take a larger one, and I'm still just going for that 2 1/4 mark. So what you can do is just, again, mark the 2 1/4 and then line it up to your center point and do the one side and then rotate and then do the other side. That's okay too. You're just matching that center. So you don't need the 4 1/2 inch ruler here, but it sure makes it quick and easy. Are you getting better about changing the blade? Oh, I know, Marion. I'm super bad at that, right? Yep. So I did change the blade. You don't want to cut with a dull blade because first of all, it can skip a bunch of it can skip threads and then things move around and you just don't get perfect cuts. But it can get dangerous if you're pushing too hard. It should go through your fabric like butter. You don't want to be pushing a ton on things. But I changed my blade. I did a whole pile of stuff before starting this project. I changed my rotary cutter blade. I changed the needle on my machine. I cleaned off the machine, like defuzzed it on the inside. I made a whole new bobbin of thread to get that ready to go. I started fresh for this project. But yeah, I could tell a difference immediately with the new blade. So yes, I definitely need to do that more often. It's worth it. I mean, blades cost money, but it really is worth it, especially if you're doing a big project where you're cutting a ton of fabric. Haha, thanks, Marion. I know what happens is I get ready to do the Facebook Live in the evening, and I'm about ready to go on, and I'm about to hit play, and then it's at that point that I remember, oh, dang, I was going to change the blade. So, by then it's too late. But I remembered for this project. Pretty happy about that. This one feels extra sparkly. I think this blue is the sparkliest one, the most glittery one, but all of this has quite a bit of metallic into. You know what, Bonnie? I've tried sharpening my old blades before. I purchased a sharpener. I haven't tried an electric sharpener before, but there's some manual sharpeners that you could just go across it a few times, you know, kind of like you're sharpening a normal cutting blade, but it's made to sharpen rotary cutters. I don't think it helped one bit whatsoever. So maybe those electric ones work well, but I don't know. That manual one that I bought and tried, I don't think it made it anywhere near close like a new blade. So for me, that wasn't worth it at all. But again, I don't have one of those nice electric ones. I haven't tried one of those before. I'd be curious if you guys have one of those, if you like it or not. But man, I haven't found that manual one to be better than a fresh blade. It really, I mean, it really should go through like 6 layers of fabric like butter, really, when it's new. Rotate it here more. I like this combo, this blue and green. So these aren't perfectly on the diagonal. I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. Again, it's really stretchy on these edges because of the way that that fun way that we did these blocks where we sewed around the whole outside and then cut it a million times. Doing it that way, though, made the bias edge, which is that stretchy edge, on this outside edge here, which it's really stretchy, so I have to be careful not to pull. And just me pressing it, when I pressed all these yesterday, that pulled things a little bit. So it's going to be a little wonky, but in the end, it's going to be perfectly fine. I'm not too obsessed with it. But you do want to be careful not to pull around on things too much at this point. Hey, Ethel! Oh, welcome. I'm happy you're here. We are working on an Hourglass quilt, my first Hourglass quilt. If you guys didn't hear my story, I wrote about it on in my newsletter last weekend. But I went to this awesome fabric store in town, and I got hypnotized. I called it fabric fever. I got hypnotized by 6 fat quarters, and they were 6 sparkly fat quarters. And that's what these are right now. They got glitter and, I don't know, metallic ink or something going on in them. And, oh man, my brain was just telling me the whole time, like, oh my God, why are you even looking at these things? You already got what you needed, and you don't need more cute fat quarters sitting around. But the fever had me, so I bought the 6 fat quarters, and then when I got home, I saw just some pretty Hourglass block quilts, and I'm like, man, that looks just so relaxing and fun. I want to make a quick Hourglass block quilt that won't take me a year to do. I can just do the one block, and it'll be relaxing and fun, and I'm like, that'll be a good project for this fabric that appeared to me, this glittery, sparkly fabric that I needed to buy. It was funny though, like, it was this whole bin of fat quarters, and you know, that's where they get you, right? That pretty bin of all of the fat quarters, all the little individual cute prettiness little bits, and sucks again. How about a white square between each? I think that'd be pretty. And then embroidery. Ooh, an embroider an X where the seam would be if it was pieced. Oh, I like that idea, Linda. I like that. Okay, we may have to do that. I might have to buy more embroidery floss for that. I do like that. I definitely like the idea of trying to get some sparkly embroidery floss in here somehow, and I do. That's a really neat idea. Like that could be part of the quilting, the X in the negative shapes. The other reason I like that is that it would make the whole quilt bigger because we're only going to have 48 squares here. So we figured that out last night. It's like what, like 30 inches by, or 36 inches by like 24 inches, or we can combine it to whatever size, but adding squares in between I think would both show off the individual blocks, but it would make the quilt a lot bigger, which would be neat. I don't know. I'm a sucker for lap quilts. So if I can get, when I can get any quilt the size of a lap quilt instead of a baby quilt, I'm all for that. Yeah, that's kind of the next big decision with this is how are we going to sew all these guys together? Oh, I missed what you guys are saying. Hold on, I'm rewinding you guys. Oh, sharpening the blades. Oh, you've never known, okay, you've never known anyone to think that sharpening the blades works. Yeah, I mean, definitely with that manual one, I didn't see any difference. It still seemed like an old blade that definitely didn't cut like a new blade. But yeah, I'd be curious about those electric ones, but I don't know. I mean, if those electric ones work like well, I would think about investing in one because I go through a lot of blades. We're cutting stuff for our kits and that sort of thing. So I save all the blades. I have a pile of old blades that I would love to use again, but I'm not going to use them if they're dull. Oh, I think some people are. Ethel, you can, I have the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. If you're on Facebook, you can just search for Penguin and Fish Crafters. And there are a few people who are putting together hourglass blocks, and they're sharing them there. It's so fun to see. I love seeing all the fabrics you guys are picking and stuff. I mean, I feel a little weird about these fabrics. I don't think these are fabrics I would normally choose, but I'm kind of having fun with them. But yeah, doesn't this look flocked? Just because of that shiny ink and the way they printed the background makes it look kind of fuzzy, like velvety, like flocking. Oh, you started doing the hourglass after watching? That's awesome. So I'm sure I've made an hourglass block, but not on purpose. Like, it was part of a different block or something. I'm sure within the Splendid Sampler there had to be an hourglass block. But it's fun to do a quilt where it's all the same block. You can kind of just chill out and do one part of the process and kind of zen out, really. So I don't know if you can tell, but on some of these I definitely don't have as much edge to cut off as others. So it's good that we're trimming this to the 4.5 inches because I think any bigger and I wouldn't have enough fabric in some areas every once in a while. Just because things stretch and move around, or I didn't sew perfectly, or one of those. We're kind of cruising though. I really think, having this 4.5 inch square ruler and it's this rotating mat. I'm so happy with this purchase. I got this, my mom, last time I sewed here at my parents' house for the Splendid Sampler, my mom has a 12 inch rotating cutting mat, and I used it when I was working here, and really liked it, and so I did I just found one on Amazon, and I thought I'd get the smaller version, this 8-inch one, because I have a small working space on my dining room table in the kitchen, which is where I do my scopes with you guys, or my Facebook Lives with you in the evenings. But I'm really happy with this smaller one, especially for, blocks this size. It's just perfect. But yeah, I mean, this is really working slick. I don't have to rotate. I don't have to move my whole body around. Just 4 cuts and then moving on. 4 cuts, moving on. Oh, isn't it nice? I really do like this size. I mean, it sucks when you need something bigger. Oh, Judith, you put the true grips, even the little rulers. Sure prevents the slipping. Okay, so we've been talking about these. If you can see, I think you guys can maybe see, I have little circles. Sometimes they're, this is the big circle, and then I have like the little nubbin center, which was the center of this. They're little stickers, so they're little rubber stickers. They're called True Grips. And I've been putting in my YouTube replay link, I've been putting a link, but I'll try and put it in the Facebook. But they're just little rubber stickers, and it makes your rulers not move at all. Like, I'm pushing this around. It is not jiggling at all. Whereas, if I didn't have it on, it's moving everywhere. That has been, I think, by far my favorite purchase since I started the Splendid sampler quilt along. Or that was the biggest, I don't know, aha moment improvement for me, because I was, I don't know, a nervous cutter. Like I was always afraid that I would slip my ruler and, slice my fabric all funny, and then I'd waste a bunch of fabric. But then someone mentioned these True Grip stickers, and it comes on a sheet like this big, so however many circles fit on a sheet this big. I think they might even have 2 sheets in there. I can't quite remember, but from one purchase of those, I was able to stick like 4 different rulers. But yeah, I mean, even with fabric underneath there, it's not moving at all. I'm going to keep buying them for sure. After a while, I mean, after a whole huge project like this Splendid Sampler, some of mine have kind of rubbed off. This one's fine still, just because I think they get too fuzzy. They're dealing with all this fabric, but it's worth it to me still. I would replace them and get new ones. They're just, I mean, really, it made a huge difference in my confidence in cutting. They look like those, Marion. They look like the little paper reinforcers for like 3-ring binder stuff, but they're different in the sense that they have that rubber bottom, and it's that nice little rubber bottom that really just grips everything. But yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. They look like those little circles. Oh yeah, it's super easy to sit down and cut when the rulers don't slip. I mean, that seriously was one of my biggest kind of nervous things about quilting, was the whole cutting, ruler slipping. They work on the really big rulers too, which is awesome. If you have one of those giant rulers and it doesn't slip the entire time you're cutting, I don't know, that's worth it. You don't have to put the giant like grabbers or anything on it. All it is these tiny little stickers on the bottom. I like them. Oh, you have some too, and you like them? Yeah. I would definitely, if you're looking for, gadgets to make your quilting a little easier, after you have a cutting mat, your quilting ruler, and your rotary cutter, after those things, man, I'd be all for, I think, seriously, I think that'd probably be my next suggestion, is those True Grip stickers. And a good scissors. It's always nice to have a good scissors. Oh, you use the center dots on your 2.5-inch ruler. That's cool. Oh, that's awesome, Judith. I'm so happy to hear that. That you learned how to cut fabric so much easier. That's awesome. I'm always learning how to other little tricks and stuff too for cutting, and there's always more to learn. That's for sure. This one looks a lot. Oh, I know, this one is different. I was like, this is like the same one as the next one, but it's not. These two are different in there. We are, I would say, almost halfway done with these. Maybe not quite. But, man, this is the most, I think, relaxed I've been cutting before. I think this rotating mat is, like, necessary for these, really. It's so easy. I'm just lifting my hand up now and rotating it. That seems to be working well. I'm like, what is the noise? I have the, there. I had the sound on my computer turned on. This dot, this center mark is really helping me too tonight. It would not be fun to have to find that 2.25-inch mark every single time. Yeah, if I was using the 12-inch mat, I would be kind of hitting things around because, you know, when you're at this angle, you're adding, you know, inches on it. So I think the 12-inch would be too big for these blocks. Ooh, you got the bigger one also. The bigger one I think would be amazing for larger blocks than this, for sure. I was thinking of getting a bigger one too. I might still. I would like to start doing some larger blocks again too, some more intricate larger blocks. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, I was always, and I still feel this way, but I feel like you don't need much to quilt, right? I think a lot of people are really intimidated, or at least I was, let's say it that way. I was very intimidated by all the gadgets, all the things. I mean, all the rulers that are being sold, all the little, you know, templates and all that, all the gadgets. There's so many gadgets with quilting, but really, you don't need anything except for like a scissors and some thread and some fabric, right? And I'm still, I mean, and then even once you get the cutting board and a quilting ruler and a rotary cutter, I mean, that's really all you need for any of this. And I'm very much in the mindset that, you know, I'd rather you just get started and you don't need all the gadgets. But man, with the Splendid Sampler, I kind of use that as an opportunity to play around with some gadgets and purchase some things and try some things out. And, you know, you don't need the gadgets, but they sure make life a lot easier. And if you're doing this a lot, like, you know, now I'm doing this every night, right? I'm doing the live streams every night. So having these little extra gadgets for the things that I do all the time, like the true grips, the rotating mat, you know, even the 4.5-inch size ruler, all of those, you know, they just make life a little more zen. How about that? So I still think you don't need it, for sure. You don't need gadgets until you have them. That's it, right, Antoinette? That's funny. But yeah, like if you haven't done any quilting before, you shouldn't feel intimidated or like you need these things. But it's okay. They're fun. You also taught us that we don't need a machine that costs as much as a beagle. Nope, that is true. My machine is my mom's machine that she had in the 70s. So it has no bells and whistles. Well, you know, it has a reverse. That's nice. And it has some stitches for garment sewing, like a zigzag and all that. But, you know, it doesn't doesn't tell me when the bobbin's out, and it doesn't cut my thread for me, and you know, it doesn't. I don't have a ton of fancy different feet to attach to it or anything like that. And I brought it to the shop during the Splendid Sampler, and we used my husband's great grandmother's sewing machine, a Singer. I think, what was it? We figured it out. I think it was from 1918, I think. Oh, kitty scratching. And that works well too. That did not have a reverse, so that was interesting. Since I had to do some reverse stitches on it, I had to rotate the piece all the way around, but hey, that worked too. The thought on the monthly subscription boxes. So I don't subscribe to any of them, but I have received one once. Oh, I forgot what it was. If you make a lot of things, or, you know, I don't know, if you want something special in the mail, straight up, it's fun. You know, fun mail is fun mail. So, if you want happy mail that comes with happy fabric and fun little extras that are little fun surprises, and, you know, if you quilt often, or, you know, now like me, I'm doing this every night for, you know, a little bit of time. All that time adds up for sure when you're making stuff. But if you want to see new fabric, or you're not super picky with what people send you or whatever for fabric, and you just want to have fun and play, I definitely say they're worth it. They're boxes of fun. But I mean, like, if you are really picky in your projects, or you have a lot of projects already going on, and getting another project or more fabric would stress you out because your other ones aren't done, then maybe, I'm not sure, I would get a subscription box. But hey, if you want happy mail, that'd be awesome. Subscription boxes. I think, you know, if it's worth it, it's kind of up to you. You could, I think with a lot of them, you might be able to just do a couple months, like get like a 3-month subscription instead of the 12-month or something, and you know, just see how you like it. Or, you know, if you don't like it, then if you have you know, a crafty, quilty friend, then you could always give it as a gift to them, or trade, or, you know, if you have a bunch of people who are all getting them, you could all see what each other get. And I don't know, I think I'm all for happy mail. But I'm personally under the, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff and I need to use up what I have. That's why I'm so guilty about these 6 fat quarters. But for me, as I'm not, a subscription box isn't for me. I got all this other stuff that I need to get done, and that freaks me out enough. Yes, so that's it right there. If you want random surprises in the mail, then totally a subscription box is awesome. Or if you want like some fun gadgets that you might not have used before, a lot of times those subscription boxes have little extras in that you wouldn't normally buy yourself or use, and you can try them out. And the other nice thing is, if you just need a jolt to your stash, your fabric stash, you know, the fabric is going to be fabric that you probably wouldn't have picked out yourself. So that'd be fun. That'd be a fun parameter to give yourself. Like, I have to use whatever fabric this comes with, plus some from my old stash, and let's see if we can make it work or something, you know? It'd be a fun little test. But yeah, for me, the big draw would be getting something fun in the mail instead of bills. I think it's a cute idea, though, in general, subscription boxes. Well, our done pile is definitely much larger than our not done pile, so that's good. Getting her done, all the trimming. This is way more enjoyable, I have to say, than I thought it was going to be. I was not looking forward to trimming all of this at all, but man, I think our little setup we got going here is just about perfect for it. Oh, you're right, Laverne. Laverne says to be sure to photograph and document this quilt before I'm done. I will definitely have to do that. Luckily, what's nice about doing these videos is that's like 100% documentation of the whole thing. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to take some nice photos and stuff for sure. That's the one thing I haven't ever really. Well, I give away things sometimes, but this is my first, like, I don't know, it's my first let's make something and give it away sort of thing, so even if I really love it when I'm done, I'm still going to give it away. So I'll have to take a lot of, oops, I missed a little part. I'll have to take a lot of nice photos so I can at least remember it in a photo. I think it'll be fun, though. It makes me happy because I'm in the whole, you know, like I'm thinking about the, you know, the Maria Kondo, the life-changing magic of tidying up. And do you guys know that book? That super popular book. We talked about it here before. But just the idea, like I need to go through all my fabric and I've done that actually before earlier, and just what's the stuff that I enjoy looking at and want to use and all that, and do I really need all this stuff? And a lot of times I just like making the thing. I don't necessarily need the end item. I mean, I have so many lap quilts in the living room and lap quilts in our bedroom and everywhere. Like our house is not hurting for any, you know, blankies. So, you know, I just don't need another lap quilt, really. But I want to make them more. I want to still experiment and play with ideas and, you know. So I thought, why not? Sounds like a fun thing. I can still make something and then someone can have it when I'm done. You'd really like to make an hourglass too? Oh, you make it look so easy. Oh, you have too much to do right now. I know, that's right, Judith. Like, it's one of those things, that's how all new projects are, kind of, right? It's like, oh God, but I have all these other things. Sometimes the idea or the need to do it just kind of boils over, and that's kind of what this was for me, because I got a lot of other projects too, but I'm like, oh, maybe this will go fast. Sherry, I'm definitely planning on doing other things besides quilts. It probably seems like all I do here is quilts, and that's mostly because we've been doing the Splendid Sampler for over a year and a half. I'm still not done with it. I'm going to sandwich that quilt together. But before the Splendid Sampler, I was doing these live videos, and we would do painting and embroidery and knitting and crochet and darning and a whole pile of other crafts. I love trying new things. I love just all making in general. So we will definitely do some other projects besides quilts. I just needed a quilt palette cleanser by making a fast quilt. That kind of doesn't make sense. Oh, yep. Just was curious. But yeah, so we'll be doing a designer series coming up here. So, and what I mean by that, and I'll be sending an email newsletter probably next week about this. I know I've said that for a little while, but for real, it'll probably go out like around the 19th. But I have teamed up with a few designers, and I will be working on a few of their projects. And there's a cute stuffed animal that we're going to make, and a neat like art folio tote that is sewn and another stitch along, and I will also be doing some embroidery stitch alongs coming up as well. And I will, this one came kind of sudden, this project here, but for the other projects, especially the designer project ones, I will let you know beforehand, because a few of them will have actual kits available of all the supplies and everything, and if you did want to work on those with me, I want to give you guys enough time to order what you need to order and stuff. And same with when I do an embroidery stitch along. Kind of, if you guys joined me with the bunny wall art stitch along that we did a couple months ago, more things like that. I think that'll be fun. Embroidery lessons. One of the things I want to do coming up is we're going to do an embroidery stitch along, but we're going to talk about color, and I will have some floss where we can play with different colors, and I will be answering all your color questions, because I know that's something I struggled with for a long time, and we'll talk about any questions you have about color and picking colors and patterns and all that. So we'll do an embroidery stitch along where we also talk about color coming up here too. So that's a few things that will be on the docket for this summer. You're thinking about doing plain blocks in between. Oh, but hand embroider animals in them. Oh, that would be so sweet. Sherry, that's such a cute idea. Oh, I thought you like embroidery. That's awesome. Sounds great. Okay, cool. So I'm glad you guys are excited for that. And there might be some little surprise embroideries here and there as well. Like in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group a couple days ago, I shared that little teacup with the bird embroidery that I had done a few years ago, and I had kind of forgot about it, and I saw it. You know, I might take some things like that and turn them into patterns as well. Right now it was just an art piece, really, I guess, that I did for fun. But if you guys like some stuff like that, then we'll make it into a pattern and just do some embroidery, fun little embroidery things too. Oh, thanks, Jerry. And then I'll do projects where I let you guys know ahead of time for sure, so it's not a surprise. But sometimes it's fun to have a little goofy, I need to work on something right now project, kind of like how this Hourglass block came along. I wasn't planning on doing this block, but then I bought this fabric and saw that Hourglass design, and then I'm like, okay, we're stopping everything. I need to make an Hourglass quilt pronto. So we'll have a general plan of some upcoming projects so you guys kind of know what's coming up. But other little projects will pop in here and there, and it'll still be pretty flexible. And I want, if there's things that you guys want to work on, or you want me to try, or if there's some tool or whatever that you want to see what it's like, totally email me or mention it in the Penguin Fish Crafters or here or wherever. I love learning new things. Even if I know nothing about it, I am more than willing to give something a try, and we can figure it out together. I love that stuff. If you're nervous about doing it and you want to try it out with someone else who doesn't know how to do it either, but we'll figure it out together, that's what I love doing. So I'm up for suggestions for sure. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think we only have like 4 or 5 left here. Maybe 6 or 7. Man, cruising today. Oh, you just put in a crest for the crafters group. Awesome! Missed that. Oh, you're in the hospital a few. Oh, I hope everything's okay, Christine. Oh, Christine, I will accept you for sure. I have to do all that manually, just so you guys know, if you're trying to get into the Penguin and Fish crafters group. I have to do all that manually. Like, it's not automatic. I have to look and hit accept. So, but I'll do that when I'm done here tonight. And I check every day. Mostly like several times a day usually. So if you don't get in right away, it's just because I haven't seen it yet, but I will. Oh, man, this is what started it all, this cream. When I saw this cream with the like gold dust in there, I'm like, oh my god, I need all the sparkles. That opened up the gate for me buying all the sparkly fabric. Oh, thanks, Christine. That's nice. This does look like flocking, that one. Do you guys all know what flocking is? It's, I didn't quite know what it was until I worked in the greeting card industry, though, and there we had to add extras, and that's where I learned about flocking. But it's kind of that, sometimes it's on wrapping paper or old wallpaper or, you know, wherever, but it's that fuzzy kind of, it's a spray. I think it's actually sprayed on, but it's like a fuzz. So like, you know, if it kind of looks like this background is flocked almost, like a little fuzzy velvet looking bit that, you know, is supposed to be decorative. It's kind of funny. I think it's just some crazy, weird plastic that they spray on something. I don't know. It's probably toxic. Who knows? I have not started sandwiching my Splendid Sampler quilt. However, that is my goal for the weekend. My parents have a larger floor than I do, and my Splendid Sampler quilt does not fit on my floor at home anymore, and I need to put it on the floor to sandwich it together. Sandwich it means when you put the back of the quilt on the floor, then you put the batting down, and then you put the top of the quilt, and then you baste it all together, which just means you attach all the layers together so it's all connected for when you start sewing it all together. So you have to kind of hold it together before you can sew it together, and that's what I'll be doing, is sandwiching it while I'm at my parents' house here. So that will happen this weekend. I don't usually scope anymore on the weekends. I always say scope because I started on Periscope for these live streams, but I don't usually Facebook Live on those days, but I will when I'm working on the sandwiching of the quilt, which will be tomorrow or Sunday. I'll pop in. So it won't be a whole long video like this, but I will definitely go live and share with you guys the process and what I'm doing. And I might pop in a couple times, like when I tape down the back, and then keep working through the process. I'll check in with you guys during that process. So stay tuned for some extra little scopes this weekend. Or Facebook Lives. Still saying scopes. What kind of quilting? I'm going to keep it really simple, Sherry, just because that is a whole world that I have not entered into yet. Machine quilting with all the fancy swirls and designs and all that. I would like to do a little test to see if my machine can even deal with doing that. Or I want to have like a little practice session quilt to do it with. But for my Splendid Sampler, I think it's going to be kind of some straight line quilting. And you know what? For this, I'm contemplating hand tying it. I love hand tying a quilt. I don't know. I just love it. I don't know why. But I was thinking we could hand tie this with some sparkly thread too. Might be really kind of fun. Yes, so I do actually have a small kind of quilt, and I was thinking that would be my practice machine quilting quilt. So, I don't know, maybe after we get done with this quilt, or if we have some time between some of these designer projects that we'll be doing, maybe we'll do some crazy machine quilt attempts. And guess what, guys? This was my last block for the night. We made it through our stack of 48 here, so we have perfect blocks now. So now is the fun part. Now is where we can really start laying them out and they can be right next to each other. Can really start seeing it come together. So I'm excited for this part. This is what we'll be doing on Monday. But look, so some things, this is just kind of random. I kind of like the randomness, but you can also do some things like, I don't know if I'll be able to do this one, but yeah, look. So, look, I just made a pinwheel with all these white ones, see? So you can do so many interesting designs, and I don't have the color here, but I do have those scraps from the fat quarter, from the rest of the fat quarters. We could put, like, if I'm doing this dark green, we could put a dark green square, because I do have some left over. You put all these dark greens next to it, and then all of a sudden we have a square, or like a little diamond here too, right? So there's a lot that we could do once we start playing around with this, and that's the next question mark, right? Is how are we going to put all this together? So I think on Monday, either on Monday or Tuesday, I'm not quite sure what the schedule is going to be yet, but that's when we'll start really playing around with what we're going to do. Sherry, by hand tying, I mean instead of quilting it with a machine, so the three layers, the back of the quilt, the middle layer, the batting, and the front layer, we're sewing those all together with a sewing machine. But what I mean by hand tying is that I'm not going to use a sewing machine. All I'm going to do is take thread, like yarn even, like larger pieces of thread, and go through all the three layers, come back up, and then tie it in a little knot. So you have these little knots, like these fluffy knots over the whole quilt instead of machine stitching. So you're hand tying knots all over. You're tying knots all over by hand. So hand tying, basically. I think it makes quilts really kind of sweet looking. Like, I love it for baby quilts. I don't know. I think it's fun. I just kind of love it. And I think if I do have some sparkly thread. I think just little sparkly thread through it would be kind of fun. But I like the embroidery ideas and stuff too. So, all right, guys, that is it for tonight. I'll flip you around and we will call it an evening. There we go. So back in my mom's sewing room. There, that took like exactly an hour, like on the button to cut all these little guys. But look how perfect they are. They're ready to get sewing. We just need to know what we're sewing. So that is the plan. I'll either be home Monday evening. The trick is if I leave here on time. So the next time we'll be working on this will either be Monday evening, or if I can't make it, it will be Tuesday evening. So I will let you guys know. That will be the next time we work on this Hourglass quilt. However, I will be popping in either today or tomorrow for the Splendid Sampler quilt again. I will show you the back in its entirety. That will be finished, and I will show you the process that we'll go about to sandwich the quilt. So I will be popping in here and there for that this weekend yet. So that will all go up on YouTube as well. Just to let you guys know, I won't be putting anything on YouTube until I get back on probably Tuesday is probably when they'll go up, just because Wi-Fi does not work as well here for uploading. So that's that. So you can expect them there afterwards. It should be here on Facebook right away, though, so if you want to watch again, it will be here. And in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group, it'll be there. So again, if you have not signed up to win this quilt, and if you want to win it, be sure to click the link that I have in this description, and I'll announce it who wins once we're done with the quilt. We'll finish the quilt first, and it will be announced in that Penguin and Fish Crafters group. And that group is also a great place for you guys to share your process, share what you're working on. Even if it's not this, I'd love to see what you're stitching, what you're sewing. It's just fun to share. And, if you have any questions about any process, ask there. And someone will answer, and I'm in there as well. Now a lot more too. So Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you joining me again tonight. Have a fabulous weekend. I will catch you later. Good night.